Today, I messed up by accidentally revealing my boyfriend's mom's infidelity. Obligatory. The story actually happened about a year ago. I, 18 female at the time, was dating a boy named Jacob, 18 male at the time. His father, early 60s, was a mechanic, and his mom, mid-50s, was a stay-at-home mom. They were a pretty typical white suburban family in the South, and had asked Jacob if they could meet me even though we had only been dating for a month. At the dinner, I met his mom, dad, older brother, older sister, and her newborn daughter. The dinner went well, and I was chatting about my volunteer work at my college's blood drive, to which his father explains that his doctor told him he was O negative and a universal blood donor. My boyfriend mentions he is also O, but his siblings casually mentioned they are both AB. I don't think anything of it because my boyfriend had mentioned that his mom was married once before and was widowed. The following conversations went like this. Me: "Oh, that's really cool. You're a really rare blood type. If you don't mind me asking, is your mom's blood type A and your dad's B, or your dad's A and mom's B?" Older sister: "What do you mean? He is O," gesturing to my boyfriend's father. Me: "Oh, I know. I was just asking about your bio father, but of course you don't have to answer if you don't want to." I then noticed his mom getting really pale, and it was in that moment I realized I messed up. Older brother: "What do you mean bio father?" Me: "I'm sorry, I didn't mean anything by it." Jacob's dad got really quiet, and looking at his wife's face, he knew instantly. I look over to Jacob, who I think was starting to put the full picture of what was happening together. Jacob's dad: "Are you saying they're not my biological kids?" Because my wife swore up and down in marriage counseling. By marriage counseling, they mean with a pastor, that they were my kids and she would never cheat on me. Yeah, turns out she never had any kids from her previous marriage. Jacob's mom: "I would never cheat on you. Older sister and older brother are your kids." Jacob's dad: "Opie, why do you think they're not my kids?" I tried to excuse myself because it was very clear the cat was out of the bag, and with a quick Google search for my boyfriend, he starts cussing out his mom. She starts to sob and apologizes over and over again, and I am forced to explain 9th grade biology to his father about the fact that the only kids he could have produced were with the blood type O, A, or B, but absolutely not AB. So Jacob was the only one with the possibility of being a son. They all start screaming at one another. Older sister eventually leaves because her newborn is screaming too. His mom goes and locks herself in the bedroom, but his older brother follows her screaming, asking who his real father is. My boyfriend is trying to figure out if his dad still wants to be their father, and I eventually have a friend come pick me up. Yeah, we broke up shortly after, but not after figuring out that none of the kids produced from the marriage was his. They found out via paternity tests, and for sure weren't his kids, and they divorced soon after. Edit: for those asking how they knew their blood types, Jacob donated blood for the blood drive at our school. His sister just had the baby, so she was probably informed during pregnancy. Jacob's dad was told by his doctor for, probably, underlying medical reasons, I don't know. I wasn't ever really close to his family after that for obvious reasons. And I don't know how his brother knew. Now for the top comments. That's an amazing life experience. Not many people get to be the catalyst for a family disintegrating by holding an impromptu high school science lecture. Wicked. I second this. It may have felt uncomfortable in the moment, but knowing science and explaining it to people who don't know science is never a screw-up. This is exactly why our bio class stopped having the students compare their blood to their parents' blood for labs. Apparently, there was always one kid every year who was not biologically connected to the dad. I wonder how many people will actually see a family implode. You had a front row seat. What do you mean front row seat? This lucky/unlucky lady was driving. Steered headfirst into the family, then got out of the car and ran away unscathed. Damn, all his kids weren't his after 18 years? Yeah, that might break me. Legitimately break me. Definitely would still love the crap out of my kids, but I think something would break inside me. The knowing that my entire reproductive life, due to 60, is a lie and the opportunity to father biological kids is long past. I couldn't talk to my soon-to-be ex-spouse again. Then I would need some therapy. I found out right around the time my little princess turned 1 year old. I had some doubts beforehand, but didn't pursue it because I was scared of the truth. Turns out she wasn't mine, and it truly did break me and put me into a dark self-ending place in my life that I'm thankful I made it out of. There's nothing more devastatingly heart-wrenching than finding out a child whom you love so much is not yours. She's now 5 years old, and she will always be my princess and my daughter to me, no matter who or what anyone says. Her real father is in her life now, but she still calls me daddy. I have an older daughter too that is for sure my blood, and they are sisters. So I will always be part of her life and will never turn my back on her for her mother's infidelity. None of this was her fault. She is an innocent child, and she is nothing short of a blessing to me regardless of blood. Next story is titled, My 22 female dad 50 male found out my brother 13 male isn't his and is demanding that I participate in a paternity test. My brother has been having serious medical issues. I don't want to get into details, but in the midst of one of his hospitalizations, it was found out my brother is not my dad's son. My dad was devastated. I left the house and went radio silent for a lot of days. My mom 47 female knew that I was bound to talk to her sometime soon, so she admitted that she had an affair with a boss when she started working for him at age 23 and stopped working for him at 35 when he retired. The man died a few years ago, and my mom said she was sure that I was my father's child. My dad pretty much told everybody in the extended family about what we found out, so things were already starting to become a war with relatives saying their pieces. Their separation got even more bitter when my mom decided to be the one to serve divorce papers on my dad. From what I got out of the two of them, my mom thought my dad was going to punish my brother by denying him funds for medical care, and she said for him, she needed to be the one to say her piece first. I've tried to reach out to my dad and offer him my emotional support. I noticed he was looking unkempt and looked to not be eating well, so I offered to go stock up his apartment with the groceries. I also offered my financial support because I was grateful he put me through Vanderbilt. Even though we're not rich or upper middle class, but I've gotten a good job in finance and good paying internships because of it. He's been cold about all my overtures and would use our calls to rant about every aspect of his life. He yelled at me through the phone once when I mentioned that my brother said I missed my dad and sends his love. It has been hell, especially because I feel like I have to take sides. My parents' credit is terrible due to medical bills and other expenses, but if I give money to my mom, then I'll be favoring her over my dad, and I'm of course mad at my mom for hurting my dad. My dad called me the other day. It's one of the few times he called me instead of the other way around, and he said that he thinks that he has to know, so he was asking me if I'd go with him to take a paternity test. He told me that he always thought it didn't look like him, but my brother out of us two looked more like him. He texted me about this many times after his call. I have to be honest, I want a good relationship with my dad again, and I know if it turns out I am his daughter that it would improve. But I'm afraid of the alternative, and I don't know if I want to know. And my dad also admitted he doesn't know if he wants to know sometimes either. But let's just get it over with, even if the results will hurt us. What do I do? I'm afraid we'll both regret a lot of the actions we've taken this period. I also feel sad because this is still my dad, and I would be devastated if our bond would be nothing to my dad if he finds out I'm not his biological kid. Now for the top advice. If it was my dad, I'd do the test. I'd want to know too. OP, your mom had a 12-year-long affair. That's longer than most marriages, and there's no way your dad won't need a paternity test. Your mom had the nerve to divorce first to say her piece first. Essentially, she never cared for your father. Your dad loves you and his son. The hate and rejection he may express is more to do with the fact your mother humiliated, debased, and lied to him for what is essentially his entire life, and regarding the things he cared for the most. Every time your brother called your father dad, every birthday they spent together. Throughout your mother's pregnancy, while your brother was sick, while they spent time together as father and son, your mother knew the truth, and I'd bet her boss knew too. Your dad sacrificed time, effort, mental well-being, and considerable money to support his family. And the only reason the affair stopped is because your mom was effectively dumped. What could be more humiliating to your dad? He has been played for a fool most of his life. So if he lashes out at you and your brother, it's because he is vulnerable, hating that he loves what was used against him. If he carries on as normal, he feels he is giving your mother what she wants without her ever receiving justice. Your paternal grandparents, uncles, aunts, your cousins were all duped. If your brother has children, they also won't be biologically related to him. Your mother has carried out an intergenerational deceit. Even your brother was left in the dark. Has he been told? Give your money to your dad and tell him to use it for your brother. Cutting out your mother from the equation will make it more palatable for him. Has your mom shown any remorse? Guilt? Regret? How does she justify what she did? What consequences has she faced? This entire situation is due to the selfish actions of one individual. Her actions have damaged your father's relationships, but he still loves you and your brother. His ties to you are stronger than her lies. In my opinion, your best bet at maintaining a relationship with him, regardless of the results of any test, is to unilaterally and immediately cut your mom out of your life before the test. He needs to see you take his feelings seriously. Empathize first and foremost with your father. Show him you care, and he will be more amenable to helping your brother, especially if your mom pays a price for her betrayal. He deserves the right to know as you do. You both only know the lies your mother has told you, and this is the key bit so far. Specifically, she had what reads as a 12-year affair. 12 years? And shows no remorse. Most of your dad's entire adult life and half his family are a lie. He deserves to know. And so do you. I agree, but also wanted to add, OP, you gotta go to therapy, and so do your dad and your brother. I'd suggest telling him you'll take the test if he commits to going to therapy, which you will pay for, including a requirement that he go to some therapy sessions before you take the test, including maybe a joint therapy session with you, where you can tell him you understand how hard this is, and you love him no matter what, and want to be in his life no matter what. And you need to go to therapy before you take the test too. Now for the last story. I messed up by hooking my girlfriend up with a job at a company I work for. Happened years ago, but I was told to post this here. My girlfriend, at the time, and I were dating for just shy of 6 years. We were high school sweethearts and still in school. She'd always struggled with jobs and keeping them, and since we lived together, I usually had to pick up the slack. I was working as an assistant manager at a video game retail store at the time. Probably not hard to figure out which one. It was honestly an easy job as long as you gave little effort. Pre-orders here, couple warranty sales there. And as my girlfriend loved video games more than I did, I had a brilliant idea to get her a job. She's an attractive girl, while 80% of our customers were neckbeards who hardly get to interact with women. Should be easy for her to make sales. There's no way she can mess this up, I said, confidently to myself. There is a policy as of most companies that people in relationships can't work at the same location. No problem. We have 12 stores in our district that are within a 5-mile radius. They seriously put these stores on every other block. I do a little digging and hook her up at a neighboring store that had a vacant position. She would also be working with the head store manager of the district, indirectly one of my bosses. Few weeks in, and it's going great. It took me about a year to get moved up, she dozen weeks. I'm not a self-conscious person, so I didn't care. Plus, she could help pick up her half of the bills. Here's where I started to realize I messed up. Girlfriend comes driving in with a brand new car. Considering we were living paycheck to paycheck, I was pretty upset. I asked her where she got the car from, and she told me I've been saving up. BS, but okay. I loved her, so as long as she's happy, I'm happy. Next comes in with write-ups. I started getting write-ups and customer complaints left and right. I'm a very good employee, and I very rarely make anyone upset. And I couldn't even find where these customers were coming from. Even though my performance was the best out of most employees, I was starting to fear for my job. And as to be predicted, I ended up getting fired. I tried to fight it, but I live in Texas, and the rules are that companies can fire anyone at any time for any reason. I'm absolutely crushed. I turned to my girlfriend for emotional support, only to find her extremely distant. She dumped me days later. Double whammy. I loved her for 6 years. She told me she felt this way for a while. Things are the same. I'm absolutely heartbroken. I'm angry, depressed, jobless. Felt like my life got flipped upside down. 1 week later, her Facebook status put her in a relationship with her boss. My boss. Not sure when it happened, but he bought her a car and then got me fired. Turns out, all the customer complaints about me originated from that store somehow. Total BS. I set her up to absolutely screw me over and to bone my boss. Edit. Perhaps the biggest screw-up is the fact I didn't sue. I was such an emotional wreck from everything that it didn't even cross my mind. But I'm doing pretty well for myself now, and whatever money I'd get would be worth bringing her to court for. Just the thought of seeing her sends chill down my spine. Now for the top comments before the little update. Damn, like she couldn't just leave you? For what reason did that guy have to get you fired first? I can't imagine how you were feeling after that. She probably got his old job since she couldn't suck up to her boss and work at the same location as him. Damn, now I'm sad. For those asking why sad, I appreciate that Opie's doing better now and I'm happy for him, truly. I wrote the original comments prior to edits detailing his happiness and moving on. Not only that though, I'm going through something similar to a story. I'm sure the moment of impact was awful and the suffering was intense at the time. Still, I'm glad things have gotten better. She sounds crazy. Better it happened now than later, when you were married and she tries to take half your stuff. Yeah, this happened for a reason, and he dodged a bullet there. Update. A couple of you guys were wondering, but they dated a few months and broke it off. Neither of them work for the company anymore. A little detail I forgot to mention that when she came to take her stuff from our place, he was helping carry the stuff to her car. That was probably the most gut-wrenching moment for me. Both of them are POS. I really appreciate all the positive feedback. I've been mostly over it, but the love really helps. Some of you guys are asking where she's now. She's doing alright. She's engaged to one of my old high school friends. Also slightly suspicious. Still driving the same car too, from the looks of it. I'm doing pretty well for myself, and if there's any happy ending to this, is that I'm genuinely happier than I've ever been in my life. Again, I really appreciate the positive messages. Reliving and retelling the story made me angry and I missed a few details. I can't prove that he bought her a car, but I was pretty aware of her finances, and she couldn't afford a new car without significant help. It wasn't a fancy car. It was a new Prius that was worth about $18,000 in addition to trading in her old car. And the rumor around the block was that he did in fact help her. I was not a perfect boyfriend. I got upset at silly things. I could have been more attentive, but I never raised my voice, and I was very loyal. The course of when she got promoted to when she got the car was roughly 3 to 4 months. The separation and firing happened about 2 months after that. I didn't clarify that detail. The boss was a DM in training, recently got promoted, and the kind of guy that would spend money to impress a girl.
Am I the a-hole for rejecting my mom and refusing to forgive her, and telling her she chose to be there for her affair partner's kids over her own, so she needs to deal with it now? I'm pretty frustrated right now, but I want to know if people think I'm being unfair. 2 years ago, my dad, my brother, 13 male, and I, 16 male, found out mom was having an affair. It shouldn't have surprised any of us. For over 2 years, she was always busy and let us down so many times. She used to be so involved, but she stopped showing up and supporting me when I was competing in swimming, and she stopped asking about it. She flaked on me every time I wanted to do our record store browse, which we'd done since I was 5, and she never said no before. She dropped the cooking classes she did with my brother and didn't show up for his talent shows. He's a musician. I have asthma, and she stopped answering calls from the school nurse to pick me up. My dad had to leave work a bunch of times, and it ticked him off because mom was a stay-at-home mom, and I was one of her reasons. But she didn't even take that seriously. It turned out when she was busy doing stuff, it meant she was busy cheating or playing mom to the guy's 2 kids. She was bonding with them and filling in for the mom they didn't have. She put them before her own kids, not just the guy she cheated with, but those kids too. The whole thing makes me so angry. When we found out, I thought she was disgusting for all of it. She didn't just cheat on dad, but she was picking the guy's kids over her own. She prioritized her affair and the children the affair partner had. Mom denied that she did that and told me and my brother she hadn't cheated on us. She told us we shouldn't hate her or pull away from her because the adult business, meaning her marriage, wasn't our business. When my parents first started their divorce, we were ordered by a judge to stay with mom 50% of the time. I hated it. She tried to integrate us with the guy and his kids, but I made it clear I'd never accept them. Mom asked us to give them a chance and forced us all to hang out like we were some kind of family, which is a freaking joke. By the time the divorce was over, the judge said I didn't need to see her that much, and I only had to go 1 weekend a month. And as of last month, the judge said I still need to go once a month, and being 16 doesn't mean I get to stop going like I want. For the past year, my mom has started to realize how much I hate her now and tries to reach out and fix it. I reject her every time and have called her names and told her to stay away from me. I told her she's gross and I want nothing to do with her. Her affair partner, who she's now married to, tried to berate me for talking to her like that, and I told him he's nothing to me, so why would I care about his opinion? He wants me and my brother to never go to the house because we make his kids feel bad by refusing to spend time with them and avoiding them. So mom tried to talk to me and begged me to forgive her. She told me she'd do anything. I told her it'll never happen. I said she chose another person's kids over us, and we remembered that. I told her she was with those random children when I needed her. She left me in school with breathing issues, so she could play mommy to another man's kids. I told her she freaking destroyed our family, broke dad's heart, and failed as a mother when she was screwing around, and she needed to accept that her choices cost her us. Mom said she wanted to make it up to us, and I said unless she took it all back and didn't put those kids first, then she couldn't. She broke down and told me I wasn't being fair, and that she was a good mother for a lot longer than she was a slightly absent one. The topic came up in therapy, and my therapist pushed me to forgive and reconcile with my mom. I don't really like her because she's really pushy about that stuff, and has spent all the time we've been in these sessions telling me I only have one mom and to remember the good. Dad wanted me to change therapists, but mom blocked it because she's hoping this lady will make me have a change of heart. But the therapist is really pressing it, and I know she's a professional. I just don't want the stuff she mentions about having a family and accepting mom for who she is and all that crap. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Some advice from an older guy with friends who had negative experiences with parents. Find a way to forgive her one day. You need to know how rare it is that your mom wants to fix it now while you're young and she still has time left. I have seen parents who wait 20 to 30 years before wanting to reconcile. They are too proud to acknowledge their mistakes. Some friends had their parents die after years of not speaking. It sucks hard for them. Again, this would be different if she didn't want it, but she does. You don't have to make it easy on her. Things don't have to ever get back to normal. But you can let her show you she is sorry and cares now, and things can get better as a result so that you can have something still between you two, which is better than nothing. Work to figure out what that path looks like for you two, how she can build something new with you, and what that will look like. You don't want regret later. There is no future for the two of us, not to me. I want nothing to do with her. She didn't care if I lived or died when she ignored those calls. That's not the kind of mom who deserves another chance, in my opinion. She can't make me forget that. I could have died, and if I had, I hope she would have been haunted by it for the rest of her life and never had another happy day. I'd want her to carry that guilt with her. She knew how serious it had to be for the school to call, and it wasn't just once. Not the a-hole. She shouldn't be making you feel bad for her mistakes, and you shouldn't adjust just because she wants to play mom with her new family. Ignore your therapist, OP. Forgive when you are mentally ready for it, and never, never forget. Find a therapist who helps you deal with your issues, not your mother's problems and regrets. Screw that therapist. Your mom blocked the change? Then don't engage with this lady. Ignore her. If this therapist is really pressing you to do something, then she is not professional. Stop calling her that. Document all her pressure, make annotations of what she says, and let her know what you are doing. Give it to your dad, and he can go to the judge and ask for the change. She cannot force you to do anything. Keep talking to your dad about it. Tell the judge you are capable of forgiving, but at your own pace, not under pressure from your therapist and your mom. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my father walk me down the aisle because of his infidelity? When I, 26 female, was 16, my older brother and I found out our dad had been cheating on our mom with her very close friend. We also found out that it had been going on for years. He gaslighted us about it for a bit, but eventually came clean. Of course, this completely devastated everyone, especially considering at that point, my parents had been married for over 15 years. In the end, they decided to work through it. They went to therapy, she forgave him, and they stayed together. However, this completely ruined my relationship with him. Up until that point, I thought my dad was the greatest man in the world. He really was my best friend, but after finding out about the affair, I wanted as little to do with him as possible. I moved out at 18, but leading up to that, I avoided him as much as I could. That worked for a while. Now it's been over 10 years since it happened, and it's starting to create bigger issues in my family. I'm getting married next year to an incredible man, and I'm very excited about it, but my family is upset about me asking my brother to walk me down the aisle instead of asking my father to do it. My mom said he's really hurt by it, which I completely understand and sympathize with, but my father and I haven't been close since his affair. My brother and I became even closer after it, and he was truly my rock during that time, so I want him included in the ceremony. Some of my family members are refusing to come because of this, calling me bitter, tasteless, etc., which is starting to get to me. I invited him to the wedding. He's more than welcome to come. I just do not want him to walk me down the aisle. I understand people can change, and from what I hear from everyone, my dad did. I think that's amazing, and I have no issue with everyone forgiving him. But I just can't. He lied to all of us for years, pretending to be this great man, but was cheating on my mom with someone who was like a second mom to us. And I don't want to be associated with someone like that, family or not. Am I the a-hole for taking this moment away from my dad? People who cheat while having a family often forget that their cheating affects their entire family. He didn't just step out on your mom, he stepped out on you too. Instead of fostering a lovely home life, spending more time with his wife and kids, he chose to create a life, albeit temporarily, with someone else. He chose someone else over his wife and his kids. Your mother may have forgiven him for nearly breaking up the family, but you didn't. And that's fine. You're not her. Somehow in all this nonsense, they managed to teach you to stand firm in your beliefs, morals, values, etc. If they don't like that you have those qualities now, that's entirely on them. They don't get to raise you to be a solid individual and then balk when you act like a solid individual. Their bafflement is crazy to me. How the heck did they assume he'd get this honor when you've not been close in a decade? Did he just bury his head in the sand and assume that since your mother forgave him, everything was totally fine with everyone else? Did he forget you're your own person and not just an extension of your parents? Either way, though, you not meeting his expectations for your own life is his burden to bear. You're not gonna sacrifice a damn thing for a man that tried to ruin your family. If he has negative feelings about this, he needs to deal with them like an adult, not force the people around him to protect his fifis. Your mom may have signed up for a life of catering to his desires, but you sure as heck did not. Some of my family members are refusing to come because of this. Shrug it off. These people weren't worth it in the first place. Use the money you'd have spent feeding them and give yourself some extra play money for your honeymoon. Calling me bitter, tasteless, etc. Shrug it off. Tell them that if they think so poorly of you and the sanctity of marriage, they're more than welcome to. You just don't have to listen to it. Oh look, you're busy planning your wedding. Not the a-hole. It sounds like OP's dad never acknowledged the pain his affair caused his kids, let alone made any effort to try to make up for it, regain their trust, or repair the relationship in any way. He was the adult, the parent, and the one in the wrong. The onus was on him. And he did nothing. It's genuinely bizarre that he feels entitled to walk OP down the aisle. Resounding not the a-hole. Thank you. I was in a similar situation due to my father's infidelity, and I never saw him in the same way, but he expected everybody to just snap back to normal as if it was fine. He certainly didn't acknowledge the pain that was caused. He simply told us, "We get over it in time." I explained to a friend of mine at the time that it was like his affair was a meteor strike on top of us, and all of a sudden he's there walking away from the rubble, wondering why we're not picking ourselves up out of the crater faster. Not the a-hole, and do not let what he thinks he deserves take precedence over what you know you and your brother deserve. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my late brother's wife access to money meant for my nephew during an emergency? My brother James was married to Elle for 10 years. They had one living child in that time, my nephew Caden, 16. Elle had 5 miscarriages as well, and that's something I mention because it will come up later. Caden was only 5 when James died. Before he died, James was awarded money for a lapse in medical care, which ultimately cost him his life. James wanted the largest part to go to Caden, and when he was sorting his estate and final wishes, he asked if I would become the caretaker of the money. He had it in a bank account, but wanted to be 100% certain it would go to Caden alone. He said it wasn't about Elle or how much he trusted her, but that she would remarry and he had no way of knowing if the man who came into their lives could be trusted. And since he wouldn't get to see Caden grow up, he wanted to secure some stability for Caden's future. I agreed, and when he died, he left me in charge of the bank account with the money. It wasn't put into a trust or anything like that, but only I have access to it. Elle was understanding of everything at the time, and we remained on good terms for a couple of years, but then things soured a little. It was unrelated to the money, but she had started dating someone, and when I met him, I felt something was off about him. She saw it as me not wanting her to move on. But they broke up, and it turned out I was right. However, the damage to the relationship was done. We were civil for Caden's sake after that. Elle did remarry a few years ago. Her husband has children of his own, and this is where the point of the post comes in. One of Ellie's stepchildren was involved in a near-fatal accident in December while with her maternal grandparents. Elle and her husband were trying to get to her because she was out of the country, and Elle contacted me to say she needed some of Caden's money so they could go there. She told me she wasn't sure how much in total she'd need by the time everything was sorted, but she knew there would be enough to cover everything and still leave Caden with money. I told her the money was for Caden and Caden alone, and I wasn't giving her any of it. That I was sorry for what they were going through, but the money needed to come from somewhere else. I spoke to Caden the same day, and he asked me not to give any of the money up if asked again. He said he knew his mom was going to keep asking if they didn't get money from anywhere else. I promised Caden I'd keep the money safe. I was asked again a number of times. Eventually, the money did come from somewhere else, but Elle and her husband ended up taking on debt because of her stepdaughter's accident. And Elle is angry that I was sitting on a large sum of money for Caden and wouldn't let her use any of it for a real emergency. She said it was the wrong decision and totally callous. Am I the a-hole? Edit to add, I forgot to add where the miscarriages would come in. But Elle has mentioned losing 5 children to me in an attempt to guilt-trip me for not giving her access to the money. She has pointed out she lost her husband, she lost 5 children, and in an emergency where her stepchild could have died, I refused to give her even a small portion of the money. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. This what was your brother anticipated and it came to pass. And Caden himself doesn't consent to it, so not the a-hole at all. It's definitely crucial to honor your brother's wishes and Caden's needs above all. 100%. What your brother was afraid would happen, happened, and this is why you are in charge of the money and not her. While you can sympathize with what they are going through, that still doesn't make it your responsibility or your nephew's. And even Caden, who is damn near an adult himself, said no. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. I do think it's quite interesting that Caden also didn't want the money to be used for that. No hesitation. He's right in the thick of it, so sees a lot more than you do. It may be time for a private chat with him. Make sure things are okay at home, how he's treated, etc. You could use his future plans regarding education, training, etc. as an excuse. And if his mom tries to tag along again, it will again show she sees the money as hers, when his future is his decision. Caden isn't that close with his mother's husband or the husband's children. He's not treated poorly, but there's a big age gap, and just not a lot of connection on his part. That's why he was so certain. Not the a-hole. You did the right thing, and I'm saying this from personal experience. I was in Caden's shoes. My father died and left me with a sum of money. Somehow, my mom got access to it and almost completely screwed me over. I spent most of the money cleaning up the mess my mother made, as well as trying to help my stepmother keep a roof over my siblings' heads, protect his future, no matter what's going on. That money is from his father, for him, to help build a stable life, not to bail other people out even in emergencies. They'll just have to figure out their own problems, just like they would have if he hadn't left anything. Don't let anyone else change your mind about that. I'm so sorry your mom did that to you. Whenever anyone gets screwed over by a parent, I think it's disgusting, but especially when it's the money a late parent left their child to secure their future. I'm working on healing and forgiving her, but please just protect Caden and his future. I wish somebody had been in a position to do that for me. The best thing you can do for him is to make sure he understands that he doesn't owe anybody anything just because he has this money. It's his and his alone. How he decides to use it, hopefully responsibly, is his choice alone. Don't let other people guilt trip him into giving them money or buying them things.